Hello, I'm Gwen. I am still dealing with the desmoid tumor and the consequences of it. Still in my right eye, still very annoying, but we are making some progress and I'm very happy about it because my new pain specialist has been working wonders and that's a breath of fresh. What are you doing? It's a breath of fresh air because I've been stuck in the same situation for like 4 years, 3 years at this point, so I need some change. So that's good. That's one good thing that's been happening. I'm really happy about it. That's not the topic of the day. Today, I wanted to talk about my diagnosis and what led to it, and how I found an oncologist because it was not as easy as you may think it was. It was a lot to deal with. So, for a long time, I didn't really think about what happened during that year. So I was diagnosed with a desmoid tumor in 2013. And I, aside from choosing when I would have my biopsy done, I didn't have much choice. Everything was happening to me, and I was not really in control. So I decided to take some control back and share my story here on my little corner of the internet. So let's go. That's my dog, Bally. He's the sweetest boy. Yes, I love you. Yes, I love you. He's the sweetest boy. So that's my co-host for today. I don't know how long he's gonna stay, but we'll take it. Yes, yes. I love you. Yeah, he's just leaning on my leg, and it's kind of painful. But he doesn't understand English. Oh, thank God. I mean, I don't mind him. Well, our co host has gone crazy, so we'll just, deal with it. Bless you! Bless you, sweetheart. You okay? You're okay? Great. So, as a kid, as a teen, I would ride horses a lot. Okay, maybe a lot is not the right word because it would be once or twice a week, but since horseback riding is so expensive, it was a lot to me. And I had like a quarter sublease on a horse. Love this horse so much. I mean, to this day, if I could buy her, I would. So I started to feel some pain in January or February of 2013. It would most often come after sitting for a long time. So typically by the end of a period at school, I would feel some pain in my thigh, but I would just get up and walk a little bit and it would go away on its own. So I didn't think much of it. Maybe it could have been a tiny injury, who knows. I mean, riding horses, you fall a lot, you stretch muscles, a lot can happen, so I was used to it. Over the next 3 to 4 months, the pain got a little worse. It wasn't crazy, it wasn't intense, it just got worse and it would come more frequently. So instead of coming after 40 minutes, it would be 30, then 20. And I was annoyed. I was like, yeah, I don't mind growing up, but growing pain is annoying and I don't like it. After a little while, I started falling in PE because I would be running and I would have bursts of pain in my thigh that would make me tumble down. I remember starting to worry when I was in theater rehearsal and I was just standing around and I started to feel the same pain that I would feel while sitting or running. And I was like, that is not normal. That something's weird, something's not normal. Let me talk to my parents about it. So we were like a week away from opening night for our little middle school theater productions. And I told my parents, I was like, hey, so I've been having this pain. And my parents agreed that it might be some growing pain. So let's wait a couple weeks and reassess at that point. My parents agreed to get an appointment with a GP for after my finals, so I would not have to deal with going to the doctors while having all of that going on, which was nice. Finals came and went, and then I finally had my appointment with my GP. And I remember this appointment very well because of what was said to me. So basically, the GP told me that I needed to lose some weight. First of all, I don't think it's ever okay to dismiss someone or not to investigate health claims because of someone's weight. But also, at that time, I was at a very healthy weight, so me losing 5 pounds was not going to change the thing. But what was very frustrating is that my leg was red, hot to the touch, and firm. And not as in, wow, you have so much muscle firm, more as in a, this is not normal firm, which was annoying because it was dama- it was damaging to my self-esteem, my body image. I didn't hate my body, but I didn't like it, and I was already comparing myself to others quite easily, so that comment made it worse. But it was also very invalidating to what I had been experiencing for 5 to 6 months at that point. Was it all in my head? Was I crazy? If it's just some fat, it's not gonna hurt, is it? So, yeah, that started a 2 month period where I tried not to complain because despite the fact that I knew something was wrong, this little GP's voice was in my head telling me, yeah, it's nothing. And I tried not to complain because if it was my fault and if it was because I had to lose weight, then I shouldn't complain, should I? Luckily, my mom did not agree with what the doctor said, and she decided to look for another GP to get another appointment and investigate further. So we went on holiday, we went to Rome, and it was one of my dream vacation because I had been studying Latin for 3 years at this point, and seeing the things I had been learning about was just amazing. But I also remember the pain I was experiencing. From May to July, it had become incredibly bad. I would be crying in the middle of the street because walking felt like something that was impossible because I was in so much pain. And then we flew to visit some family, and I can remember screaming because of the pain I was in. So we're in July at that point. August wasn't much better, so I went back to horseback riding, and I would now have to get off the horse because of the pain, which, um, I mean, I'm laughing, but it takes a lot for me to get off the horse because it's my happy place. It's where I felt safe, and I felt like I was in danger because the pain would come randomly. It wasn't when I was doing one specific exercise. So I felt like if my horse were to move kind of weirdly, buck, whatever, I was like, if I'm having pain at that same moment, I'm down. There's no way I'm staying on that horse. And I was riding a lovely horse, but still, Then high school came around, so I had my first day of high school, and then I finally had my very awaited second GP appointment, and the GP agreed with me and my mom that something was not right. It was definitely not fat. And to hear that was very validating because finally I had a medical opinion that said that I'm not crazy, it's not all in my head. Something is really happening to me. We don't know what, but something is wrong. And it's sad that it took hearing that something was wrong for me to feel good, in a way. So the GP said she would call a surgeon and try to have him see me as fast as possible. We got home, and 10 minutes later, she called us back saying, "Could you come back, please?" So we went back, and she said that the surgeon could see me the following day in the morning. And I was like, wow, that was fast. I don't think I realized how weird it is to be seen so fast. So shout out to my mom for not freaking out because, oh God, I can only imagine what she must have felt. And I obviously didn't attend school the following day. I went to the doctor and he said again that yes, something was in there. He didn't know what, but we needed to do a biopsy to discover what that was. And he told me I can either operate you tomorrow or next week. So that was kind of the choice I was given. And I said, well, let's do this tomorrow because at this point I couldn't wait any longer. I have a pretty big scar for a biopsy because they ended up opening 15 centimeters, so about 6 inches, because they took samples from the ends and the middle of the tumor to make sure it was the same thing and that they had enough samples. But the one good thing that came out of it was that I had to go grab all of my books, and a girl volunteered to come help me. And that's my best friend. We're still best friend 10 years later, which to me is amazing and awesome. And she's also a horseback rider. She's way more talented and has way more dedication that I have. But that's also why we connected so fast. And then started a 6 week long wait, which I remember almost nothing of it because I was focused on school and my friends. But I can only imagine how difficult it was for my parents, especially for my mom, because you don't know my mom, but she's the type who panics very quickly. If she doesn't find her keys in her purse, she will panic before searching the entire house. And I'm the opposite. I will search the entire house and then be like, maybe I should worry a little bit. So yeah, I don't know how she survived that, but the 6 weeks went by and we finally had a diagnosis: desmoid fibromatosis. The doctor who told us about it knew very little. He was honest in saying that he had never heard of it, so he had asked a few of his colleagues and he went on Google basically. At least I appreciate the honesty. But it was a bit weird to have a doctor tell you that he doesn't really know what you have. After my diagnosis, that's where I kind of lost all control over the situation. So I was lucky to be diagnosed at 15 because in my state, if you are 16 when you're diagnosed, you go to the adult side of the hospital. So I don't think I would have survived that. So it was really difficult to find someone who would take care of me because the first few hospitals we went to, They were honest and told us that they had never treated the desmoid tumor, so they didn't really know how to, and they would have to rely on other colleagues who knew desmoid tumors to treat me. So if we were more comfortable with someone who knew about them, they were not the right place for us, which I appreciate the honesty, but it kind of sucked, to leave school and go and have to listen to people tell you how they have no clue what you have, how they don't know anything about what you have. It's kind of discouraging. I felt like I was never going to find any help. I went to, I think, 4 or 5 hospitals, and the last one I went to was the one I am currently being treated at because the head of the pediatric oncology unit knew desmoid tumors quite well. So that was great for me, and I'm really grateful we ended up going there because I I am not sure I could have gone through so many years of treatments had I been in another hospital. And also, I would not have survived treatments without my nurse. She's an angel and she got me through so much. I'm deeply, deeply grateful. So I went to that hospital just before Christmas, which means that at this point I had been in pain for almost a year, and I was finally being seen for what I had. So when I met with them back in January, we started wait and watch as well as a medication for the pain. The medication wasn't really useful, didn't do much, and wait and watch is where I'm going to stop because I have to take my dog out, and I will tell you all about my treatments later on because why not? Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to me talk about my diagnosis and some of my story. I truly appreciate it. If you have any comments or any questions, feel free to sound off in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer you. And you can also find me on Instagram if you want to catch up with my day to day life or my week to week life more. It's more week to week. Feel free to follow me over there. And wherever you are in the world, I hope you have a fantastic day.